Please subscribe and share for more story. Before anyone called her a difficult old woman, Evelyn Cross wished they understood how she arrived at that morning. On her 67th birthday, she believed her son was taking her to lunch. That was what Andrew said on the phone, his voice cheerful but rushed. "Just get dressed, Mom. I'll pick you up by noon." Evelyn chose her soft beige sweater and took extra time curling her hair. She wanted to look nice. She wanted to matter. When Andrew arrived, he didn't bring flowers or cake. He handed her a suitcase. "What's this?" she asked, forcing a smile. "Just for a few days," he replied too quickly. Evelyn felt something shift in her chest, but she nodded. Obedience had been her language for decades. She stepped outside without protest, locking the door behind her as if she were leaving for an errand. She didn't know she would never sleep in that house again. The drive was quiet. Andrew kept his eyes on the road, tapping the steering wheel like he was late for something important. Evelyn watched familiar streets pass by and tried to calm herself. "You didn't say where we're going," she said gently. "It's nothing to worry about," Andrew answered. "Just temporary." Temporary. That word echoed. Evelyn remembered how often she had accepted it during her marriage. Temporary sacrifices, temporary silence, temporary pain. The car slowed near a low brick building with trimmed hedges and a large sign. Evelyn read it twice before her breath caught. Sunridge Assisted Living. "This must be a mistake," she whispered. Andrew finally looked at her. "Mom, don't make this harder." Harder. The words stung more than the truth itself. She realized then that this was not about care. It was about convenience. Inside the building, the air smelled like disinfectant and forced cheerfulness. A woman behind the desk smiled too brightly. "You must be Evelyn Cross," she said. Evelyn nodded slowly. Andrew filled out forms without asking her a single question. "You didn't tell me," Evelyn said softly. "I didn't think you'd understand," Andrew replied. "I raised you," she said. "I think I deserve to understand." He sighed, frustrated. "You're alone now, Mom. I have my own family." Those words landed heavier than any insult. Alone. Evelyn thought of the years she skipped rest so Andrew could have more. She signed nothing. She said nothing. Silence had protected her before. She assumed it would again. 3 days later, Evelyn sat in a quiet law office across from Mr. Daniel Harper, a man with kind eyes and careful words. "Your husband planned very thoroughly," he said. Evelyn blinked. "Planned what?" "The future," he replied, sliding a folder toward her. Inside were documents she had never seen. Trusts. Accounts. Instructions. Her late husband, Walter Cross, had left more than memories behind. "He anticipated this situation," Daniel continued. Evelyn's hands trembled. "He knew?" Daniel nodded. "He prepared." For the first time since her birthday, Evelyn felt something unfamiliar rise within her. Not anger, not grief. Control. That night, Evelyn lay awake in her small room, staring at the ceiling. She replayed Andrew's words, the way he avoided her eyes. "Don't make this harder," she whispered into the dark. She laughed quietly. "You have no idea." Walter's voice echoed in her memory, calm and steady. "Watch who rushes to replace you when they think you're powerless." Evelyn sat up. For the first time in years, she was not reacting. She was thinking, planning. "They underestimated me," she said aloud. And for the first time, being underestimated felt like an advantage. The next morning, Evelyn asked the nurse at the front desk for a phone. "I need to make a few calls," she said politely. The nurse hesitated. "Family calls usually go through your son." Evelyn smiled. "Then today will be different." She dialed Daniel Harper's number from memory. When he answered, she didn't waste time. "They think I'm done," Evelyn said. Daniel paused. "Then they're making a serious mistake." He explained carefully what she owned, what she controlled, and what her husband had quietly protected for years. Evelyn listened without interrupting. She had learned long ago that power often spoke softly. When the call ended, she folded her hands in her lap. The room no longer felt like a cage. It felt like a waiting room before something important began. Andrew didn't visit for 5 days. When he finally arrived, he brought his wife, Melissa, who smiled with practiced sympathy. "We just want what's best for you," Melissa said. Evelyn nodded. "Of course." Andrew glanced around the room. "You're settling in, right?" "It's educational," Evelyn replied. Melissa laughed lightly.
"See?
She understands." Evelyn watched them carefully. She noticed how Andrew relaxed when she didn't argue. How Melissa leaned forward when money came up. "We'll handle the bills," Andrew said casually. Evelyn met his eyes. "Which bills?" He blinked. "The house. Everything." "Good," she said. "We should talk about ownership soon." The silence that followed was delicious. After they left, Evelyn walked slowly to the window. She thought about all the times she had softened her words to keep peace. "I won't do that anymore," she whispered. At dinner, she sat with other residents. One woman leaned over. "First week?" "Yes," Evelyn answered. "Give it time," the woman said. Evelyn smiled politely but thought, "I don't intend to stay long." She returned to her room and opened Daniel's folder again. The truth was clear now. She wasn't abandoned. She was underestimated. And that mistake would cost Andrew far more than he imagined. Daniel visited her 2 days later. "They moved too fast," he said. Evelyn nodded. "They always do." He explained how Andrew had already tried to access accounts he didn't control. "Your husband anticipated this exact behavior," Daniel said. Evelyn closed her eyes briefly. Walter was quiet. People forget quiet men see everything. Daniel smiled. "What would you like to do next?" Evelyn looked up. "Nothing. Let them think they're winning." "That's risky," Daniel said. "So is arrogance," she replied. He laughed softly. "You're sharper than they realize." "They taught me," Evelyn said. "By ignoring me." That evening, Andrew called. "Mom, we need to talk," he said. Evelyn's voice was calm.
"About what?"
"The house," he hesitated. "Oh," she replied lightly. "That." Andrew exhaled. "You're being difficult." Evelyn smiled to herself. "No, Andrew. I'm being informed." The line went quiet. "I'll call you tomorrow," he muttered. Evelyn set the phone down and looked around the room. For the first time, she felt taller than the walls. "They thought silence meant weakness," she said softly. It never had. Andrew did not call the next day. Instead, Evelyn received a message from Melissa.
"We're worried about you."
"This place might be confusing you." Evelyn read it twice, then laughed softly. "So this is the angle," she murmured. "Confusion."
"Age."
"Fragility." She typed a short reply. "I'm very clear." "Thank you." That afternoon, Daniel Harper visited again. "They're laying groundwork," he said. "For what?" Evelyn asked. "To question your judgment," he replied carefully. Evelyn folded her hands. "Then they've already lost." She told him about the message. Daniel nodded. "I'll document everything." "Good," Evelyn said. "Let them speak freely." She had spent years protecting Andrew's reputation, smoothing his rough edges for teachers, neighbors, even his own father. Now she watched him unravel without her help. It was painful, but also revealing. 2 days later, Andrew arrived alone. His smile was tight. "We should talk privately," he said. Evelyn gestured to the chair.
"Sit."
He didn't. "Mom, Melissa thinks you're being influenced." "By whom?" Evelyn asked. "That lawyer." Evelyn raised an eyebrow. "The one Dad hired?" Andrew's jaw tightened. "You don't need legal protection from your own son." "Apparently I do," she replied. He stepped closer. "You're making things harder than they need to be." She met his eyes. "You said that before." The silence stretched. "I need access to the house," Andrew finally said. Evelyn nodded. "I'll think about it." He left angry. She smiled calmly. Power, she realized, came from not rushing to please. That night, Evelyn dreamed of her old kitchen. Walter stood by the sink, drying dishes. "Don't rescue him," he said gently. She woke with tears in her eyes, but strength in her chest. The next morning, she called Daniel. "I'm ready," she said.
"For what?" he asked.
"To stop pretending." They discussed timelines, documents, and the house Andrew believed was already his. He's been telling people you're unstable, Daniel said. Evelyn sighed. Then it's time I spoke. She agreed to attend a family meeting Andrew had requested, knowing exactly what it was meant to be. A performance. Let him gather his audience, she told Daniel. Truth carries better when witnesses are present. The meeting was set at Andrew's house. Melissa greeted Evelyn with exaggerated warmth. You look tired, she said. I'm not, Evelyn replied. Andrew cleared his throat. We just want clarity. So do I, Evelyn said. He began explaining expenses, responsibilities, sacrifices. Evelyn listened patiently. When he finished, she reached into her bag and placed a folder on the table. What's that? Melissa asked sharply. Reality, Evelyn answered. Andrew opened it and froze. These are Dad's. Yes, she said. And mine. The room shifted. For the first time, they realized she had not come to ask for mercy. Andrew's voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me? Evelyn looked at him sadly. You never asked. Melissa stood. This isn't fair. Evelyn rose slowly. Neither was abandoning me. Silence swallowed the room. I'll be reclaiming my home, Evelyn continued. And my dignity. Andrew looked smaller now. You taught me to be strong, he whispered. Yes, she said. But you forgot I was the first lesson. She walked out without raising her voice, without apology. For the first time, Evelyn Cross was not leaving something behind. She was taking herself back. Evelyn returned to the assisted living facility that evening with a strange sense of calm. For weeks, the place had felt like a holding cell. Now it felt temporary, almost symbolic. The nurse smiled as Evelyn passed. Family visit go well? She asked. It was honest, Evelyn replied. In her room, Evelyn sat at the small desk and opened her notebook. She wrote down everything Andrew had said, every accusation, every demand. She had learned that memory was fragile, but records were powerful. Later, she called Daniel. They didn't expect resistance, she said. People rarely do, Daniel replied. Evelyn looked around the room one last time. I won't be sleeping here much longer. Daniel chuckled. I believe you. That night, she slept deeply for the first time since her birthday. The next morning, Andrew called again, his voice unsteady. Mom, we need to fix this. Evelyn stirred her tea slowly. Fix what? You embarrassed us, he snapped. I defended myself, she corrected. There was a pause. People are asking questions, Andrew admitted. Good, Evelyn said. He lowered his voice. Can't we handle this privately? Evelyn smiled sadly. You already made it public when you left me behind. She ended the call gently. It was the first time she had ever hung up on her son. Her hands trembled afterward, but her spine did not. Strength, she realized, often arrived after the fear. Daniel finalized the paperwork quickly. They try to move funds they don't own, he explained. Evelyn shook her head. He's desperate. Yes, Daniel said. And desperation makes people careless. A week later, Evelyn stood at the front door of her house. The locks had been changed. That won't last, Daniel assured her. She touched the doorframe gently. I raised my son here. And you'll reclaim it here, he said. Inside, Andrew watched through the window, stunned, as the locksmith worked. For the first time, he understood that his mother was not returning to the role he preferred. The confrontation was brief. You can't do this, Andrew said, his voice shaking. I already have, Evelyn replied. Melissa stayed silent, arms crossed. You pushed me away, Evelyn continued calmly. Then you tried to erase me. Andrew swallowed. I thought you'd forgive me. I did, she said. That doesn't mean I'll surrender. She asked them to leave. They did. When the door closed, Evelyn leaned against it and breathed deeply. Her house felt familiar again, not because of the furniture, but because of the truth finally spoken within its walls. That evening, Evelyn sat in her living room with a cup of tea, the sunset painting the walls gold. Daniel called. It's over, he said. Evelyn smiled. No. It's corrected. She thought of the woman who had packed a suitcase without protest. That woman had survived. This one had chosen herself. Evelyn Cross was not bitter. She was awake, and that made all the difference. News traveled faster than Evelyn expected. Old neighbors stopped by with cautious smiles. "We heard you're back," one said. "I never left," Evelyn replied gently. Andrew didn't call. Days passed, then weeks. Evelyn felt the absence like a bruise she no longer pressed. One afternoon, Daniel visited with documents neatly stacked. "They've backed off," he said. "Good," Evelyn answered. "You could pursue damages," Daniel added. Evelyn considered it, then shook her head. "I don't need revenge. I needed truth." That night, she walked through the house slowly, touching door frames, pausing at the kitchen sink. Memories lived here, but they no longer controlled her. She slept in her own bed, not as a victim returned, but as a woman restored. Andrew finally appeared one afternoon, standing on the porch like a stranger. "Can we talk?" he asked. Evelyn studied him quietly. "You can speak." "I didn't think you'd fight back," he admitted. "I wasn't fighting you," she said. "I was standing up." His shoulders sagged. "I messed up." "Yes," Evelyn agreed. "I don't know how to fix it," he whispered. She opened the door wider. "Then listen." They talked for an hour. Not arguing. Not blaming. Just truth laid bare. When Andrew left, nothing was repaired, but something dangerous had ended. Silence no longer owned her. Melissa never returned. Evelyn didn't ask about her. Some explanations were unnecessary. Instead, Evelyn began small routines, morning walks, tea with neighbors, tending the neglected garden. "You seem lighter," a friend said. "I stopped carrying what wasn't mine," Evelyn replied. At night, she wrote in her notebook. Not grievances. Lessons. Boundaries. She understood now that love without limits became permission for harm, and she would never grant that permission again. Months later, Evelyn volunteered at the local community center. A younger woman once asked, "How do you stay so calm?" Evelyn smiled. "I survived being erased." She helped others fill out forms, make calls, ask questions they'd been taught not to ask. Watching them find their voices felt like a quiet victory she never expected. Strength, she learned, multiplied when shared. Andrew sent a letter. No demands. No excuses. Just regret. Evelyn read it once and placed it in a drawer. Forgiveness, she knew, was a process, not a prize handed out for apologies. She wished him peace, but she no longer bent herself to create it. On her 68th birthday, Evelyn baked a small cake. One candle. One wish. "I choose myself," she said aloud. The house was quiet, but it was not lonely. It was honest. Evelyn Cross was not a cautionary tale. She was a correction. They thought age meant silence. They were wrong, and she would never fade away again. Thanks for watching. If you value stories of respect, dignity, and justice, please subscribe. It means more than you know, and it lets me keep sharing the lessons life has carved into me.